Why, hello, everyone. We are
Hello.
here live streaming for you. This is going
Yes.
to be episode 124.
About to get real weird. I'm very excited for the weirdness that's about to take place here.
We're about to get real weird. It's part
About to
one.
get real weird. And I would like to remind everybody that's catching this live episode recording that it is, in fact, a drinking game or a smoking game or an eating potato chips game, however you want to quantify it. But what we're dealing with is every time you say the word testicles, balls, nuts,
Testes.
any testes, right? Anything in that bracket, right? Any of the synonyms, right? Any of the semen synonyms. You gotta toke, you gotta take a shot, you gotta drink, you gotta eat a potato chip. So good luck out there,
You
everybody.
might be drunk, high, asleep by the end of the intro. So let's. So I'm ready for this. You ready to go?
I am I am super fucking ready. Let's go. Let's let's
Let's do it.
let's do this.
Mhm. MD, PhD, MC, LLD, DHP, SCD, four phase compound operation. Cut out cut out goat testicles, twin incisions in the patient's scrotum. Remove patient's testicles, replace with goat testicles. Inject 2 cc's of half percent of mercurochrome. Suture using catgut stitching. Enjoy the benefits of newfound vigor and come back in a week for checkup. And as always, thank your local goat, and whatever you do, don't make eye contact with them.
Jesus Christ.
Good evening, all, and welcome to the Black Cat Report and episode 124. I am Joey, and with me is a man that actually needs no introduction, but I'm going to do it anyways. Dr. Gil Basset Hound Bentley, MD.
WebMD. Thank you very much. I got my
Mmm.
certificate via
Online.
Google University. Yeah.
Yeah, that's the best one. That's the easiest one.
Mhm. Mm.
Before we get into the episode, we want to take a moment and say, please follow us on Patreon. You can get all the goodies and the cool stuff that comes with it. It's free and helps support us. Plus, we wanted to centralize all our communication and information, and it's super easy on Patreon. We do movie nights, other shows, and we have a few unreleased episodes on there as well. So go to patreon.com/blackcatreport. Also, with our last series, that was a listener request, Ronald True, and it was sent to us by Ian and Jaden. So we wanted to thank you for that. And you can do that with us too. You can email us at contact@blackcat.report or go on our Patreon live chat and send us episode ideas. We love it because we get these crazy ideas for shows, and you know, we love to do that.
100%. And I also do have links for submitting ideas down in the show notes. Make it super easy for folks. I will say, without a doubt, every time we do get a listener idea submission, we go hard on the suggestions. There's a couple that we still have lined up. Looking at you, Max. We're making sure that we have the time to dedicate
Mm-hmm.
to our listeners for the suggestions. So we haven't forgotten. We're just planning. If we're ever silent, it's because we're scheming. That's what's going on. So
Truth, truth.
pretty
Well,
much.
today we're going to delve into one of the wackiest characters, or should I say, the quackiest characters I have found so far. And I love wacky characters. The main source for today is Charlatan, America's Most Dangerous Huckster, The Man Who Pursued Him, and The Age of Flim Flam by Pope Brock. And please excuse me if I mispronounce some stuff because a lot of this stuff is very catch your tongue twisters and stuff like that. So it's very, you know, trying my best here. Well, John Richard Brinkley was born on July 8th in 1885 in Beta, North Carolina. which is 48 minutes from Gil and I in Asheville, North Carolina. He's right in Jackson County, so he was not far from us.
He's a
Um,
loco legend.
he's a loco legend. You are correct. He was born the illegitimate child of John Richard Brinkley and Sarah Candence Burnett. His father was a mountain doctor and a preacher, and it wasn't to really describe what his mother did, but probably just
This
read the
valley's a
Bible.
little
That's
bit too low. We're gonna need to fill it in for it to get better.
He's
Mountain
gotta
doctor.
get. He
That's
worked on
that's
mountains.
literally
Yep.
what the MD stood for, was mountain doctor.
It was, yeah. His because he didn't
Mountain
go to
doctor.
school. Yeah. Well,
See that
adding
ridge up
to
there?
that,
Too short. Gonna need to make it way more steep.
adding to that, to help him build those mountains up, he basically grew up on a rock farm. So that made it easier for the mountain doctor to grow the mountains. They were very, very poor, so to say, because they grew up on a rock farm.
In the middle of mountains, where it's like everybody had
Exactly.
rocks.
Exactly, yeah. Well, most of his neighbors and family called John Brinkley lively as a cricket and a reckless little boy. So he was very
Hmm,
energetic and he had a lot of energy to get through. And we're going to see how he put that to good use.
okay.
Though they thought of him this way, they all also thought that he wasn't bound to toil away on the family farm. They all thought he was
Mhm.
going to be famous. He was going to be famous. Like he had this, when people have that it factor, he
Yeah.
had an it factor, honestly.
Gotcha.
Well, fast forward to January 27th, 1907. He's about 22 and he marries Sarah Wyke from a neighboring farm. There's not a lot when he was young because they're really 1880s. There really wasn't a lot of bookkeeping for just some random farmer, and he's kind of doing what he does. And he's staying in
Yeah.
this small town. Well, once he gets married, they met and married pretty quickly, right? So maybe
Mhm.
not more than the span of a few months, literally a few months. And this would be like a continuing cycle in his life.
Okay.
Well, as we will find out in the rest of the story, Brinkley was not a man to sit around on his laurels. At around 22, he got married, and he then gathered a bunch of people from around his hometown in North Carolina and started what I would like to call a traveling play.
Okay.
Okay.
All
Yeah.
right.
It
It
wasn't
became a
like normal
troop.
plays. Yeah, yeah, literally. It wasn't like normal
Yeah.
plays. It was more the kind of snake oil salesman style play that he would put on. And this was
I love this.
huge. Yeah, and this was huge in that area, right? Someone
Yeah.
describe how his specific play went. They would start with a nice violin playing and a dancer, and then move into a morality play, basically, where the head of house or if a female was killed because of something happening that could have been cured by a miracle tonic, then he would just pop on stage with the dinner plate hat, cutaway coat, and pants that buttoned up the sides,
Hell
and
yeah.
he would prop
Hell
up that
yeah.
tonic. Yeah, he would prop up that tonic and be like,
She
"Look,
could have been cured.
she
Yeah.
could have been cured." He was a swindler of the highest, pretty much from get go, and
Fuck yes.
people were already doing this though. This was like he was just jumping on the
Yeah.
train, right? Like this is
Yeah.
snake oil salesman was it started in the West and people were coming through. It was all over
Oh
the
yeah.
US at the time. Well, after a year doing this, he decided he wanted to be a he was a well, after a year of doing this, he decided that he was a big fish in a small pond and it was time to
Mm.
go on to greater things, as, a lot of people do that feel like they're better than the rest. So,
Yeah.
he decided to pick up his stakes and he moved to Chicago, sight unseen, in 1908 with his wife and two kids, and with another kid on the way at the time.
Okay.
He wanted to go into the American Medical Association, which was headquartered in Chicago at the time. And there was nothing for him to do but choose a school and a medical focus. So So he chose the focus of allopathy, which is basically the treatment of disease by conventional means or like using drugs or surgery. So it's pretty much what became the normal now, you know.
Yeah.
Um, they had used some herbal remedies, but it was mostly just like using conventional means, drugs, and surgery, something like that. So
Yeah.
he entered into the Bennett Eclectic Medical College by borrowing the entry fee of $25 from a loan shark in Chicago.
This is gonna go well.
Right, right. Well, it's funny. It just never comes back up again.
Oh, well,
I
I
guess
guess
he
it
paid
did
him
go
back.
well.
Yeah, yeah. He got lucky. Well, I mean, we'll see. We'll see in a few seconds.
Yeah.
He had just strode into town basically with no money and a whole family to feed. So as he was going to school by day, he was a
Mm.
student by day, he became a telegraph operator by night. So he was working and going to
Ooh.
school so much that he started drinking very, very heavily. I mean, who wouldn't?
Cheers to that. All right.
Cheers to
I
that.
I do like to imagine like what was the career like for like sex phone operators back in the day for telegraphs like "Doo-doo-doo-doo-doo-doo-doo-doo-doo-doo-doo." He's like, "Oh, she did what? Doo-doo-doo-doo-doo-doo-doo-doo-doo." Your voice is incredible. "Doo-doo-doo-doo." Well, I can tell by your taps. "Doo-doo-doo-doo-doo."
The telegraph. Yeah, yeah. Well, he was basically young and in college, and he had numerous responsibilities that he couldn't attend to
Mhm.
because he was in college and he was working to pay for that, those
3
responsibilities as a
kiddos
kid.
in
Yeah, three
college,
kiddos. What was really
wife.
sad though
Yeah.
is he lost the last kid. So the kid, as they were moving to Chicago, they
No.
I think it was a stillborn kid, and they
Where'd it
lost the
go?
kid.
Oh,
So
yeah.
it was stillborn. Um,
Aw.
he lost the kid, so he's only had two kids with his first wife. Well,
Gotcha.
spoiler alert. He attended college until he had just 1 year left and then abruptly quit.
Okay.
This would be one of his biggest regrets, I think, of the rest of his life because
Oh, no.
we'll find out later. Well, he was broke and he couldn't find the money to finish the last year of medical school. So, and he was quoted saying, like, I just had no money, and
Yeah.
as a telegraph operator, he probably wasn't getting paid much. Probably was just getting paid enough to feed some of the kids and the wife and probably just enough to eat. And he also spent a lot of money on alcohol. So that really didn't help him much.
Yeah, that probably didn't help too much.
Hmm. Well, throughout his years in school, his wife Sally, oops, sorry. Throughout his years in school, his wife, sorry, I wrote that wrong.
You're
Throughout
good.
his years in reread, throughout his years in school, Sally, his wife, and Brinkley started coming at odds with each other. And at the end of it, Sally just told John, I actually really don't like you. It wasn't that she had grown to dislike him. She just found out that she plain out didn't like him at all.
You're kind of a douche. Yeah.
Yeah. I mean, like, they got married, I mean, decently young. Young in
Yeah.
our idea of it. He's 22. He got married at 22. And I think she was
Okay.
maybe 2 or 3 years younger. And
Man,
it just,
she's pretty much a spinstress by that point,
yeah,
you know?
I guess they
I
were
thought you were
old
gonna
in
say she
their
got
time.
married at 7 and he was 18 or some crap like that.
No, 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 no. No,
Like,
it was definitely similar age at the time for that. And that's
okay.
young. That's young for us at the idea of it, but like old for them,
Yeah.
right?
Old as
Well,
fudge, yeah.
yeah, exactly. Well, a depressed and maybe soul-searching Brinkley decided that his wife and children, he just couldn't take them anymore. So he took a train out west and went through all the drinking halls and towns that he could find. And I mean, he found all the drinking halls he could find. He
He
did
wrote a
not.
guidebook.
Yeah, he wrote the guidebook. That's how he made his money, first off. Kidding.
Oh.
But he probably could have, honestly. He could easily wrote a guidebook of all the drinking halls he went to. Well,
It's like the original Yelp over here. It's like
yeah,
I love it.
literally, yeah. Well, at this time, he's feeling like a failure, right? Nothing had gone right.
Yeah.
His big move to Chicago pretty much failed. He lost the love of his life or wife. I don't think it was the love of his life, but it was definitely the love of his life at the time. Maybe he
Yeah.
never had it, but well, he lost at least the respectability of his family. Like his kids didn't respect him because he couldn't feed them anymore. So in February of 1913, he returned to Chicago from his drunken, rambling days. He was drinking and rambling for about 1 to 2 years. He went west and he was like, I'm just going to come back eventually. Well, he came upon a chance meeting that would turn his life around in a swanky bar, which he actually stood out in because he really wasn't dressed that well. He met another person who also wasn't dressed to the nines, a man named James Crawford. And they definitely stood out because both of them were just not the type to be in this bar. And, swanky 1913 bar, they were just not ready for this bar. So,
Basically, they both looked like they should have been considered the help at the
yep.
at the bar.
Yes,
Yeah.
yes, they should have been
Yeah.
considered the help.
Gotcha.
Well, Crawford only had one arm, so this also made him stand out in this bar. Crawford
Okay.
told him he had lost his arm during a hunting accident and to pay it no mind.
Okay.
Yeah, he was just like, I just lost it in a hunting accident. Don't worry about
Damn.
it.
I mean, that doesn't seem too wild, especially for like, yeah, just that day and age. You know what I mean?
1913 at a bar. Yeah.
Yeah, it's like you got a hangnail, so they cut off your arm at that point. Like, so
Hmm.
it's not. It's like, oh, that could have happened.
Yeah, and this was right before World War One too. So like looking at it, like the USA what didn't get into World War One until late 1917, 1918. So
Yeah.
like it did they we weren't really doing much, but this was like the lead up to the war. It really wasn't
Gotcha.
hitting the shores yet, but well.
Gotcha.
In the summer of 1913, Brinkley and Crawford made their way through the South, stopping in on Crawford's and Brinkley's old boss in Knoxville, Tennessee, who ran a syphilis museum. No joke.
What?
He
A
ran a
syphilis
syphilis
museum?
museum. Yep.
Not a
Basically,
clinic.
nope,
It was a
a museum.
museum.
It was a museum. It
Okay.
showed all it was weird. It
Yeah,
it
really?
also
The syphilis museum was weird? You
yeah.
don't say. Yeah.
It also he kind of doubled it as like a hospital, but technically he wasn't licensed, so he had to have a front for his
No, no,
hospital.
no. It's a live action museum.
That's a lot. Yeah, we work on you in the museum.
Oh my
Become
god.
you become the what we look at.
It's a new form of art. This is
Yes.
this is fantastic. I've up until this moment, I've never had the desire to go to a syphilis museum, but now I'm not gonna be able to get it out of my head. I need the merch from the gift shop at the syphilis
Hmm.
museum. I went to
Yeah.
the syphilis museum and all I got was this t-shirt and syphilis. Like, that's what I
I mean
want.
the merch definitely is sells itself. I feel like from that.
It's like, I'm allergic to penicillin, but not this museum. Like,
Hmm.
like
Well, the
I am
doctor's name
allergic to
was Dr.
penicillin. It would be
Burke.
bad.
Yeah, yeah,
Oh,
for sure.
Dr.
He
Burke?
was named Dr.
Yeah.
Burke, so Dr. Burke was the and what was
Okay.
funny is like right before they moved again from there, Brinkley would like tour around a little bit and do some more snake oil salesman stuff with Crawford, and
Yeah.
he took on the name of Dr. Burke to kind of give him like, oh, he's out touring and doing stuff like that. That's like I don't
Okay.
know, Journey going back or CCR going back on tour, and without John Fogerty, and they're just like, oh, we're just keeping the name alive. But it's like John Fogerty kind of was the band. The voice was the band, like, sorry, CCR. Hot takes. Well, Dr. Burke, the boss of John Brinkley, his ex-boss, he started teaching him
Yeah.
Quack bookkeeping and customer psychology in exchange for calling himself Burke, like I just said earlier when he was on tour, right?
Okay.
So he taught them Quack bookkeeping and customer
So
psychology. This would be so
this is how to quack the
instrumental.
books.
Yeah,
Yeah.
yeah. This would be so instrumental for his future because now he can figure out, okay, a customer walks in, how can I sell him on what I want him to buy? I want to sell him this
Yeah.
specific cure. how can I get him to do that? And
Mm.
this is like gold for him.
Yeah.
So Brinkley changed his name to Blakely. Not that much different. Not that much different from what he was before, but he kind of wanted to hide his persona a little bit. Well, they went on to arrive in Greenville, North Carolina, which is about 5 hours east of us right now. They started
Yeah.
setting up credit in all of the areas. So they went into the banks, they went into the little areas, and were just like, hey, the little other shops, and they're like, hey, we're gonna buy stuff from you. Here's my name, here's my like credentials and stuff like that. And we're gonna buy stuff on credit here. So this makes sense for what they're gonna do. But the first place
Mhm.
they stopped, funnily enough, was the barber shop to get their looks right because customer psychology is
Okay.
super important for how you look.
It
But I
is.
also
Yeah.
imagine this was the best place at the time to get information on the people and
Totally.
places in town because barbers
Still
and
is.
hairstylists know the dirt on everybody in town. So,
Yes.
hmm
Yes. And from like a medical standpoint too, is this that far off from the time when they were also the dentists slash pseudo
the
doctors?
barbers, I think they had already been taken out of that. I think because
Okay. It
they
couldn't
weren't
have been
bleeding
that
anymore.
long.
Well, I mean,
Yeah.
they weren't
Eh.
bleeding anymore, but they some
Was
people
the
still were, as we'll find out.
were the barber shops in Greenville were they still doing it? Because I kind of picture North Carolina barber shops probably kept that going into the 70s. Just a
Well,
guess.
let's get into that.
Okay.
Greenville at this time, 1913, 1915, the 19
hmm
teens, Greenville was a very, very small town. It is not too big of a town right now, but it's much bigger than it
No.
was. And as far as medicine goes, it was pretty fucking ass backwards. The
Okay.
pharmacist across the street from where they opened up shop was actually still bleeding patients with leeches.
There
So,
we go.
yep,
Yep.
yep. And they came into town, they're just like, this place, it's ripe
My
for the
guy.
picking. Yep, yep.
Yeah.
This place, it's
Coming with
ripe for
them
the
big
picking.
city ideas over here.
hmm So they set up a small storefront and pharmacy downtown. They charged
Okay.
$25 per person, and they were pretty much just selling tonics. They were selling electrical cures because those were some big things happen at the time. So like they would just like zap you a little bit, some electricity, and you'd be
hmm
like, "Oh, I feel better,"
I feel
randomly, and
different.
it's like,
Yeah,
"Yeah, I feel
technically.
different."
Yeah,
I think
like-
different is back then. Different was better because there
yeah.
was so much pain and they really didn't have like Tylenol. They really didn't have like Advil. I mean, the stuff
I
existed,
mean,
but they didn't have it.
yeah, they had aspirin and they definitely had morphine. Um,
They did have morphine.
and they had
Yes.
cocaine. Um, there wasn't a lot of mild treatment. I guess to summarize, I think where you're going with this is being electrocuted was considered mild compared to the rest of the alternatives.
Oh yeah. 100%.
It was like
100%.
you can get hit across the head with a baseball bat or get drunk on moonshine. Which is going to have a more mild impact? It's like, well, clearly the baby should be hit with a baseball bat.
Oh, yeah,
That
definitely.
baby's not old enough to drink. Yeah,
Yeah, just beat them up.
but
Yeah,
it's
it's the
old
easiest
enough
way.
to play ball.
The Yankees thought so. Well, after they had they set up in downtown, got the storefront pharmacy
Mhm.
downtown. It wasn't that long, about 1 to 2 months later, that they just skipped town. They took
Hell
all the
yeah.
money they made because again, they're snake oil salesmen from heart by trade. And they
Yeah.
scammed all the people and they were not paying back any of the creditors that they borrowed
Not a
money
dime.
from.
Not a
Yeah, he
dime.
even he changed his name. So it was like he's like, "Oh, this is easy. I'm going to get away with this. No big deal."
Yeah.
Yeah. Well, they went on to Memphis to relax and spend some of that hard-earned money on women and of course, drinking.
I mean,
They
hell yeah.
just went crazy. Yeah, right? So, and they're in Memphis. They're in the promised land. So, it was there that Brinkley would actually meet the love of his life. He met a woman named Minerva Jones, or as she liked to be called, Minnie.
Cute nickname.
Mhm.
If you told me to picture in my head somebody named Minerva,
Mhm.
Um, it's not love of my life material. I might be wrong. Hey, anybody out there named Minerva, send us your photos. Contact.
That's
I'm
what we're
just kidding.
getting.
I'm just kidding.
Yeah.
I'm just kidding. But no, Minerva's not. And my name's Gil, so like, hey, I'm with you on that. Like I'm,
Hmm.
not attractive first names, right? But like Minerva. I don't. What is Minerva? Sounds like a type of chronic nerve disease.
I think because nerves in it.
Yeah, Minerva. Like I've got
Yeah.
Minervinosis. You know,
Yeah. I
his
mean,
heartache. His heartache was the one thing he could never cure from
exactly.
Minerva.
And it's true. Well, it came from more of a practical reason too. Not that, he didn't think she was good looking because they basically lasted till he died. So
Oh,
it was a good
yeah.
marriage. Well, she was
Hell yeah.
21 and she was also the daughter of a prominent local physician. Hit
It
that
don't
right out of the
hurt.
park.
It don't
Yep, don't
hurt.
hurt.
Yeah, yeah.
And just like the last woman he met, he took no time at all to marry her. It was
Bing,
only
bang, boom.
4 days after they had met that they married.
That is passing Ronald True's ability to
Hmm.
ingratiate, engage, and marry someone. I mean, because Ronald pulled off 3 marriages within 6 months, and that includes time while he was in jail. And like this 4
Hmm.
days? Damn.
Yep.
That's 1 day longer than it took Jesus to come back to life. That's crazy.
Hmm. Well, unfortunately, he never
Oh, no.
actually divorced from his first wife, which
Uh,
makes it a little bit weird. Which he would actually remedy it later on in February 1916, but
okay.
you know, he did want to remedy it. He just kind of forgot about it, I guess, while he was getting drunk and traveling. It's fine.
He was going under a different name too a lot of times, so it's not like, you know, you could do those things back then. Nobody cared.
Yeah. Well, when he moved to when he went to Memphis, he started going by Brinkley. He went back to
Yeah,
Brinkley, but he just used that as like his coverall for Greenville, right? So
gotcha. Yeah,
you know
but
what's
like that time in
stupid?
Greenville where he would have got the divorce.
Yeah, yeah, that
You know,
wasn't gonna
what's
happen.
he going to do? Walk into the local like records or the local court and be like, "Hey, so I need to get a divorce. Also, it's under a different name than the one you know me as." Like he couldn't do
Yeah,
that,
yeah.
you
No, he
know.
couldn't. It wouldn't work.
Yeah.
Well, what's funny is Crawford actually never changed his name, so want to talk about being able to get caught for something. And just like I
Hmm.
just said, the piper was coming due, or the bill is
Ooh.
coming due, and they have to pay the piper. Either or.
Okay.
The sheriff from Greenville, North Carolina, had tracked down Brinkley and Crawford all the way to Memphis. I want to say how
Damn.
actually good that is because at the time, 1913, right? People don't talk across state lines. People don't talk
Mm-mm.
across like county lines, especially to sheriffs. Sheriffs did not, it
Mm.
was not very easy to find somebody unless they were like, Billy the Kid level of fame, And at this time, he wasn't really he was just almost a nobody.
This is an important note though, because look, you don't fuck with somebody like don't cross somebody who is bored and dedicated to their job. Ever,
Yep.
ever. I don't care if it's customer assistance at Target. You do not cross the person who is bored and dedicated to their job. Country cops are
Oh
bored
yeah. Yep.
and dedicated to their fucking job. If it is slightly different than what they're used to, they will follow you to fucking Antarctica. All right. They
Mm-hmm.
will
Oh
find
yes.
your
Yeah.
ass. They've got
Yes, they
nothing
will.
else to do. And all the local laws and the legislative, nobody cares if they're breaking the law. So there's no
Mm-hmm.
boundaries. They're bored and they will find your ass. I'm not shocked. Also, if anybody's gonna hunt somebody down in a big city, it's gonna be some country bumpkin cop.
Yep.
Like, they're the ones that got the tracking skills. And I'm not even out here, like, supporting cops or anything. I'm just saying, like, there's certain ones you don't the big city ones, if you can hold off long enough and get away, they're gonna have so many different cases piled up on their desk if you could just
Yep.
hold out long enough that they're going to be forced to forget about you. So, like,
Mm-hmm.
break your laws in the big city, hide in the country. That's the rule right there.
That is the rule.
not the
Well,
other way around.
no, do not hide out in the city.
Never. Don't break
No.
laws out in the country and hide in the city. That is not a good idea. You doing
They
that?
will come
You're
for
you're
you angry.
you're French frying when you should have pizzas. That's what I'm trying to say. You French fried when you should have pizza if you do it that way.
Hmm.
So just a little crime advice for you.
Yeah. And because they French fried instead of pizza, the sheriff took them back to Greenville via train on December 8th, 1913.
Boom.
Yep. He
Boom.
was charged with forgery and practicing without a license, which he would do many, 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 many more times.
Yeah.
This time he's got caught for it. Well, he had just returned from his honeymoon with Minerva and was already in jail. It was just 4 months after they married. It was not
Damn.
even that long that he came back, and then the sheriff was just like, "Oh, hey, buddy, remember me?" And
I just picture the
took
sheriff
him
the
back.
whole time in the background, like on the cruise, just with like giant glasses and a Hawaiian shirt on, just like taking notes.
Yeah. Oh, yeah. He was just
Pina
waiting.
coladas. Like just like
There,
writing down everything.
there is a funny story later on
His
when
wife is
the
hotter than her name would let on. It's just-
Minerva.
Flashback to like when they're getting married and it's the priest. The priest is the cop with sunglasses and a
Yeah,
Hawaiian
yeah,
shirt on.
yeah.
Just
It was me all
like,
along.
I've been tracking you the whole time.
Hmm. There is a funny story later on when the two Brinkley and is eventually he does get an arch nemesis, so spoiler alert. They're
Yes.
on a cruise ship together and they're on the same cruise ship and they're I don't know if I'm going to mention it, but I'm
Yes.
mentioning it now,
You need
but
to.
their sons meet before cuz they never meet. And their
Oh
sons
shit.
meet and then one of their
Oh
daughters meets
shit.
the teacher of the son and they like fall in love. It's like this weird thing that happens on this
Yes.
cruise ship. It's kind of like a side story, so it might not even be mentioned, but it's getting mentioned now.
Honestly, we'll throw it up. We'll throw it up in like a Patreon extended chat or something. But dude, like no great con artist story is complete without an arch nemesis. Like that's
That's
just
true.
a fact. You can't.
Hmm.
You can't. Yeah, you gotta have it.
No.
This is
Hmm.
fantastic.
Well, because they're both in jail, and Brinkley was like, "Man, I don't have money. I just got back from the honeymoon because he already spent most of his money." Crawford
Yeah.
paid most of the money, which was several $1,000s in like
Crawford
basic
for the win.
reparations to the town for extorting them. Yeah, Crawford came in big,
Yeah,
and
Crawford's the homie. All right.
it didn't help him out any.
Oh
But
no.
I know.
Oh, Crawford,
Well,
no.
well, now that he was out of jail, Brinkley's out of jail and he's married for a second time, he had no prospects. He decided
Okay.
to buy a medical license from the Eclectic Medicine University in Arkansas that licensed him in 8 states for a nominal fee of about $100. So in that day and age, it's a dollar. So I looked it up. A dollar is $14. So that's
Damn.
$1,400 in as a nominal fee to license him in 8 states. But for 8 states, that's
You don't
pretty good.
trust any medical school that's called the Eclectic Medical School. I
Yeah, I mean,
don't trust.
eclectic
I don't
eclectic was the
trust.
style of medicine, but it
I
didn't really work
yes, it
that well.
was. Yes, it was. It was the
Yes, it was.
style.
Yeah. But it was basically found out to be a diploma mill later on. So,
It was the DeVry University or the Phoenix Online. Yeah.
the Arizona
Or
State.
the
What
Trump
is it that?
University.
Yeah,
Let's
the
not
Trump
forget
University.
Trump University. Yeah.
Yeah, TU. Well, he was now officially, well, I mean, officially not really licensed to practice medicine. He then
Love it.
also divorced and finalized his he also then
First wife.
finalized his divorce and remarried Minerva in 1915. So it was like
Did
he
it
finally
proper.
got did it proper because he really wanted to. Like he
Yeah.
didn't want to do bad. Like he loved Minerva and
Oh.
he hated his ex-wife. So
Yeah.
and we'll find out later. She hated him even more than just like disliked him. But we'll find
Oh,
that out
jeez.
in the third episode. Well, 2 years
Mm.
later, at the start of the U.S. actual involvement in World War One, Brinkley was
Yeah.
drafted into the military as a doctor.
Oh no.
Which it's good because it kept him stateside. He didn't have to go over to Europe, so that was probably better for him.
He also, like, honestly, this might be the most experience he had in legitimate medicine at the time. Because I imagine the military was a little bit more intense about training, where it's like, no, you have to do this shit. We don't give a fuck what you think. Chop off their damn arm and give them morphine, like actual medical practices. Maybe, or maybe they were just like, you got a what? You got a degree? You're out there. Like, I don't know what it was
Well,
like.
let's get into it because he was
All
the
right.
only medical officer in his unit and he was a first lieutenant in the army.
Oh, damn.
He only served 2 months and 13 days, and for half of the time he was in
Jesus.
the sick bay complaining of rectal fistula multiple.
What is that?
I googled it. It's not. It's nothing. It just sounds
It's
like
not a
he just
thing.
wanted to punch somebody up the butt with both hands. That's what it sounds like to me. There are some things that are similar, but it's not like it's like there's like a hole in your rectum basically.
Yeah.
But that's not anything. He literally made this up so he didn't have to do anything.
And everybody was too scared to check in to see if it was real. So they were just like, all
Well,
right,
they
we believe you.
Well, the people were already were sick, and he didn't care, and he's just like, whatever. There's like just there's like whatever. It doesn't matter anymore. We're almost, we're not really in this war. I mean, we do have a lot of people in the war, but like Europe had already pretty much took the brunt of World War One, as they would also
Yeah.
do in World War Two. Well, after he was dishonorably discharged in early October of 1917, he spotted a newspaper ad that said big and bustling Milford, Kansas needs a physician.
Oh,
With with no other prospects at the time and eager to open up his own practice, he and Minerva packed up and went north to Milford.
I mean, he's licensed, legally married,
Hmm.
technically can say that he was a doctor in the military. So this is
Hmm.
legitimate for this time period.
Yeah, he's not far off from where he wants. He's like, yeah, I'm starting. I feel it.
Yeah.
He
I'm
feels
really
this.
gonna do it this time. Yeah.
Hmm. Now, when he arrived in Milford, Kansas, he found the town neither bustling nor big, as the town was only 200
Oh no.
people,
Oh
mostly
no.
farmers. Mostly farmers, pretty much.
Damn, he
200
got out
people, 200
swindled.
ish.
Yeah.
Hmm. But he figured out why not try and make a go of it? I'll be the only
Yeah.
doctor in town, right? So there's no other physicians there.
Okay.
The going was very, very, very hard in Kansas with super cold winters and super hot summers. Farmers struggled to make a living. The Dust Bowl hadn't even hit yet because that was in the mid
Oh shit.
1930s, but living was
Yeah.
still hard. This was
Mm.
about 40 to 50 years after the Benders murdered travelers in Labette County, Kansas. And that was about 200 miles northwest. So
It
they're
would have been great if
pretty
they
close
settled
to it.
into the same place.
They
We're
were,
gonna
I
turn
mean,
this old
200
grow
miles.
cry store into a medical institute.
Yeah, yeah. They were only 200 miles. Well, Milford, Kansas is 200 miles north of where they were. They were in Labette County. So,
That's
Cherry
basically
Hill.
neighbors in Kansas. Yeah.
Yeah, yeah. Well, during October and November of 1917, Brinkley made house calls for sick farmers and their families, and Minnie was hired out as a midwife to the locals. But
Okay.
it was about time for both of their lives to change forever.
Hmm.
Are you ready, Gil? Are you ready for this?
Get my drink ready.
Get your drink ready. Now, Brinkley had a small physician's office that he used in case people needed to come in for treatments or small surgeries. And in early November of 1917, after a nice dinner and Minnie had gone off to bed, a knock came at the door.
Hmm?
It was a 46-year-old farmer named Bill Stitchworth. He was husky, wore a hat, and he just honestly resembled a rough and tumble farmer in Kansas of those days. When Brinkley invited him into the office, Stitchworth sat down and said, "Doctor, there's something wrong with me. Though to look at me, you wouldn't judge it. I do look husky, don't I? I'm all in, no pep. I'm a flat tire." And Brinkley responded with, "Honestly, I have tried many serums, electricity, and a whole manner of things to bring forth manhood again, but nothing worked on that condition. And to what would
Mm.
start the whole beginning, or maybe enrichment of Brinkley's life, the farmer replied, "Too bad. I don't have billy goat nuts." Now, there is some contention with that story because Bill's family had another version of the story that they told later. That was Brinkley's version of the story, right? So
Mhm.
that's how he got into it. The family said it was Brinkley who had offered free surgery to test this goat nut surgery on him and even offered him hundreds of dollars to try the surgery. Goat nut, that is actually a new kind of milk you can put into your coffee. Goat nut milk. I just wanted to say that too. I wrote that in as a funny joke, and I laugh at my jokes as I write them, not as I say them. Well,
You know, it's lactose free. Um, High in protein. Um, and
mhm,
great if you want the irresistible urge to climb mountains.
true. Yeah, Billy Goat Mountains. Well, it's actually where it's from, the Billy Goat Mountain. Well, anyways, I do believe that the real truth of that night was probably somewhere in the middle of their stories. I imagine that he came in and it was late at night because his wife, both of their wives had gone to bed, and he was like kind of,
Yeah.
how I say it, kind of like embarrassed because I mean, literally, guys, we're talking about erectile dysfunction. This is literally what
Yeah.
this whole story is about.
ED.
Yep.
Historically, ED is like one of the biggest kind of, wet blankets on a masculine person's like prospects at manhood or their concepts of manhood, right? And also, ED is a guaranteed way to A, make billions, and B, swindle millions. Like guaranteed.
Hmm.
This is how the black rhino went extinct, right? You can sell anything to cure a dude's wee willy wing wang, people will buy it. People will fucking buy that shit all day.
Yeah, that's truth. Well, I want to also explain how a swindler doctor got to this point, right? Because
Yeah.
I really feel like most people's minds don't go straight to putting goat's nuts into their patients. So Brinkley and Minerva were just barely making it. As I said, she was practicing as a midwife. He was making house calls, and they couldn't afford anything. And John Brinkley, once we get to know his full character, he could not imagine himself just living his life. As we said, he had to leave his rock farm from his home to get out there to be
Yeah.
somebody new, to be somebody great.
In
And
all fairness, he started rock bottom.
well, he
Bit of cricket.
he, like the people from his hometown, thought that he was of better ilk, and they said like he's going to
Yeah.
be famous. This guy's going to be amazing. And as
Yeah.
during his time, so many doctors were making a name for themselves, and he wanted in on it because I went through this list. There was so many doctors at this time that were just trying random things to get
Yeah.
their name on anything. There was like cancer cures, there was like
Oh yeah.
other male hormone cures, there was like these crazy things that were happening at the time, and names were getting put on buildings, names were getting put on like surgeries,
Yeah.
and he wanted in on that. Well, 2 days after their first meeting, they met up again during, again, the middle of the night. The farmer slid onto the operating table, and then in walked Brinkley with a metal sheet tray, and on top of it, two
Ooh.
goat testicles.
Yes.
The operation took all of 15 minutes.
Wow, that's
15 minutes.
I would imagine it takes longer just to sew them.
He moved
Now,
quick
by
in his first one.
operation, are you going to go into detail about what the operation is? Because I'm going to ask you, what happened during this operation? Was it like, did you get out some like bolt cutters, go up to the masculine wiggle bits, just grab them and snap? Bleeding starts. You get some rubber bands out or whatever the equivalent is, and then you start. I need the graphic details here, Joey. You're
Didn't
talking
you
about
listen to the
switching
intro?
nuts.
Didn't you listen to the intro? I
There was like
literally
4,000
described
acronyms. I didn't listen to any of it.
I described what he did. He made
I
basically
need, I need to
he
hear it in graphic detail.
okay. So
If I can't hear
this
our listeners squirming, you didn't describe it enough. But I need to hear the people squirming.
okay.
Tell me what happened.
I'm gonna tell you at the beginning of the next episode. Be prepared.
No, don't do that to us, Joey. Tell us, how
I
did they
have to.
attach the little
It's
the
part of the
little tubes
story.
and stuff? Did they
It's
sew the
part of the
tubes? How did they
story.
didn't even have need.
It's
Ay, ay,
part of the
ay.
storytelling of it. You got to wait till the intro. Actually, it's going to be right at the beginning of the next episode.
Leave a
Right around the
leave
beginning
a
of the next episode.
leave a comment, everybody, wherever you're listening to this. If it's on YouTube, if it's on Spotify, somewhere, let us know if Joey should get into graphic detail about attaching goat testicles to this poor farmer.
Mm-hmm.
middle of this middle of nowhere in Kansas.
Yep. Well, after the 15 minutes, the farmer
15
walked
minutes.
right on out. Walked right on out. No big deal.
He could walk.
Mhm.
Whoa.
Mhm.
How much
Well,
morphine did they give this?
they probably gave him a shit ton, or they probably just got him fucking wasted. I would say that he probably didn't give him
Both.
morphine, and he probably got him wasted, and then just the 15 minutes probably wasn't counting
Dude,
them taking. Well, as we'll say later, I won't
I
spoil that
mm,
part for you. He got the patient drunk, is what he did.
can I sidetrack to something I
You
just
can
thought about
sidetrack,
here?
yeah, for sure. Mhm.
All right, cool. This might totally just like that guy's nuts. This might get cut from the full episode. Um, now this one time, in college, my college days, lived in a college town, Bowling Green, Ohio, and we'd sit out on our front porch in the evening. And this fits because it's St. Patrick's Day when we're recording this. This incident
It is St.
happened
Patrick's
on
Day.
St. Patrick's Day, right? It was my first, I would say my first real, you'll say like street fight, like my
Mhm.
first actual street fight. This does get back to nuts at some point.
Okay.
Um,
Somewhat.
anyways, yeah, well, it had been like pouring rain and everything like that, and it had finally lifted, and it was maybe, in a college town right near the university is where I was renting at with my partner at the time and friends and everybody. And we were sitting outside smoking cigarettes. It's 2:30 in the morning. These guys walk by, and one of our friends is just on all fours. She's on all fours, just, heaving, doing what you do at college age on on St. Patrick's Day. And these
As we
guys
do.
come up, yeah, and these guys come up and they start acting very forceful,
Mhm.
like
Very
grabbing her head
sketch.
and start like,
Yeah.
but it gets really bad. I mean, grabbing her
Mhm.
head and pulling it towards like his crotch
Wow.
and stuff
Wow.
like that. So like I'm shit faced drunk. My partner's shit faced drunk. Friend shit faced drunk. And when he grabs her, my partner at the time, well, probably still is, but she's like all of 5'2". She's very tiny, right? I'm six
Yeah.
foot, she's 5'2". And she just straight up like punches this large jock looking dude in the face who
Hell
did that,
yeah.
which
Hell
like
yeah.
if I'm gonna date somebody, that's the spice they bring. And it's
Mhm.
like really badass, standing up to their friend. And this all pops up. I leap off the fucking porch and like shove the dude. Fight starts, right? Dude starts talking shit
as
to
it
me,
does. Mm-hmm.
and this is in our front yard,
Mm-hmm.
right? Dude starts talking shit to me, and this is where it gets fucking weird. Um, Throws a punch at me, hits me square in the fucking nose. I don't feel a goddamn thing, right? Like I'm just like,
Wasted. Yeah, you're the best kind of
oh,
drunk.
I
Yeah.
yes, and
Yeah.
and anyways, I don't really give a fuck at this point after what this dude did. There's no honor there. I square up. I kick this dude in the nuts as hard as I fucking can, just immediately. Right? The
Mm-hmm.
dude who tried to force my friend's head over there,
Yeah.
kick him square in the nuts to the point that I see him lift a little off the ground.
That lift. Yeah.
When I kick him, his response, and I'm not shitting you, and this is where it gets back to balls. His response is, "What? What are you gonna do?" I stepped back and I said, "Bro, I just kicked you in the nuts. What the fuck is wrong with you?" And he's
Damn.
like, "What? What?" He didn't feel a goddamn thing, and like I'm pretty sure I ruptured some shit.
He was a eunuch.
So, he was after that, dude. I like,
Yeah. He did not feel a thing anymore.
bro. Yeah, shit transpired. Anyways, everybody is okay, except those dudes who I can't imagine he felt very good in the morning. But to speak in terms of the power of alcohol for that specific situation, like you were saying, he might have just got him wasted because after I saw that, I just never thought it was possible to get hit that hard in your wiggle bits and did not feel anything. But man, when I squared up and kicked that dude and I saw his shoulders lift, I
It's
was
definitely
like,
lift.
whoa. But yeah, so
Yeah.
that's my sidetrack. This I'm just saying could be accurate. Could be accurate.
I think that it was all alcohol.
Yeah,
Morphine is more expensive. Alcohol's cheaper. Con
it's
man.
true.
Makes
Yeah.
sense. And
Hmm.
in talking about your story, adding to it, because I am not cutting that out. Um, it's going to be part of this. I do believe that that guy actually went to the next best thing and went to a complete other nut doctor back in the day, but now they're using like pig balls and putting them in there. So
I think he already had pig balls because that motherfucker was a pig.
that makes
But yeah,
sense.
that was a fun
Yeah.
fight. It was a terrible pretense, but yeah, I was fighting two dudes who were shit faced drunk, and I'm just like, well, I'm getting my. This is one pro tip to everybody out there. If you were getting into a fight, if you go in with the mindset of I'm going to get my ass fucking whooped when you step into the fight, because it was like two jocks. I'm a really skinny dude. I'm not
Hmm.
exactly fit. I went in seeing this pop off, and I'm like, I'm gonna get. I literally in my mind I was like, I'm waking up in the hospital tomorrow. Then I started the fight. If you go
You
in
had
with that
nothing to
kind of
lose.
insanity, bro, if
Hmm.
you go in with that kind of insanity, you will fucking win. All right, that is a winner's mentality. Is I'm
Hmm.
waking up in the hospital tomorrow. Go ham, go ham, but do
Mm.
it for the right reasons.
I think when they had the MMA, when they talked about it, I think Dana White said something about that.
Yeah,
That was his pep talk. Go
bro,
in
if
with
you go in with that
no winning.
mentality,
Hmm.
you can fight off armies, bro. You
Hmm.
don't give a fuck. So that's a pro tip. It's coming a little bit late for everybody else on St. Patrick's Day, but for the next one, just remember,
It's still early.
go
It
in,
is still
go in,
early.
go in
If you're
mad.
watching
True.
the live version, yeah. If you're watching the live
Yeah.
version, well, after he had went home, it was an agonizing 2 weeks of waiting for Brinkley. And then, just as Brinkley was
Oh,
about to lose hope that his surgery had worked, in strode
oh,
the farmer, Stitchworth, with a big, wide smile on his face.
wait, his
And
name was
Brinkley,
Stitchworth?
his last name was Stitchworth.
God
Yeah,
damn, meant to
the,
be. Sorry.
the family name, right.
Oh,
And
all
after
right.
he saw that big, wide smile on his face, Brinkley knew right then he had something.
This is so
And
fucked up, dude.
and just like wait to this. And just like the worst STD you can imagine, word spread around Milford that this innovative surgery could solve all your lame duck issues. Another farmer,
Mm.
the barber, and more people around town started coming in to get the goat nut surgery. So everybody was getting this word spread around town. And even Miss Stitchworth came in asking for a matching set, like her husband, of goat ovaries because he did not just cater to men, he catered to women too.
I really hope that the I hope the replacement of ovaries took more than 15 minutes, 'cause those
Nah,
aren't
he
exactly external.
no, he did mention what that next surgery was. And to be fair, he might not have given it to her, but he did promote that he did. So, well,
God, this is where the charlatan part comes in. I hope that he just like cut into her enough that she felt sore but didn't actually put anything in.
could have, could
Oh,
have, could have. I
I'm
mean, he's
getting
a charlatan,
squeamish.
so
I'm getting
stuff
squeamish.
could have happened that didn't happen. That's kind of the way con artists work. He could have sold it off, but it is proven that he
Oh,
did do the first one on Stitchworth, the farmer, Mr. Stitchworth. So
how did they not fall off?
apparently it was happening a lot because I want to add some context to this, right? So adding why this became so popular and so sought after, right, we have to peel back the curtain, we have to peel back the scrotum to look at the era this was in. And I made that up as I was saying it.
Oh,
This was right after World War I, right? After losing so many men in battle and people had to repopulate, right?
yep.
A lot of young men were killed. The older generations who didn't go off to war and probably also weren't shell shocked and have PTSD up to their eyeballs and down to their low balls had to do their fair share of populating. And for many, they were past the point of having children. I also made that up and it wasn't in the script.
From their eyeballs to their thigh balls is what I believe you meant to say.
That too. That too. I
So
also,
I
it's
think we
true.
found the one topic that can actually make me crawl in my skin. I don't know if you see how red my face is right now.
Yep.
Okay,
Yeah.
I'm good.
Well,
I'm good.
this wasn't the only style of it, and this wasn't the only animals that were being used. There were many doctors or quacks at the time that came up with all kinds of experiments trying to revive the old pump.
Yeah, trying to get that pump house working again. Yeah.
Yep. There were doctors implanting
Whew.
chimpanzee balls into men, and they also tried to use, yeah, all
At least that's
sorts of
closer.
tonics. Yeah, it is
I'm
closer.
just saying,
Yeah.
genetically, way closer. You know,
Mm-hmm.
that
Yeah, yeah,
could work. If somebody told me that that was a cure, even today, I'd be like, you know what? That might, I can see that. You know, that's close. But like
yeah.
goats, what? Oh,
Well,
sorry.
yeah, yeah. No, it's true. The guy who did the chimpanzee balls was named Sergei Voronov. He was a Russian immigrant that was working in Paris, and he was working about 1910, 1908 in that time.
Okay.
His main interest was obviously elderly men who wanted a zest for life, and he was the one that
Obviously.
started transplanting chimpanzees or baboon testicles into male human recipients. He actually sliced. Okay, I'm gonna go into it. I'm sorry.
Yeah,
I'm
no,
gonna go
no,
into his
no. Keep
part of
going.
it.
Keep going. No, keep going. Keep going.
His technique was to slice up the animal testicle and insert the
Okay.
slices into the recipient's testicle.
Okay, so he would take like one ball. Let's put it in
Yep.
this perspective here. He would take one ball, slice off like a tenth of it, and then
Mm-hmm.
slice open the human sac, put in that tenth of a ball, sew it closed, and be like, voila. Is
Mm-hmm.
that is that is that pretty
That is
much
it. Yeah, and then sewed him,
am I
sewed the sack
picking
back
up
up.
the balls that you're dropping down? All right,
You are
so
picking it up. Yeah. Um,
gotcha.
I can
Our
say
listeners are
that.
are fucking morbid as hell. We have been told
They
this
love the
multiple times.
description.
They've specifically said they've talked shit to me when I've skirted around certain things, and they've talked shit at Joey about like, hey, you didn't get into enough of the gruesome murder,
They do like that.
evisceration
Mhm.
details for XYZ episode. So like, look, y'all asked for it, literally demanded it. So you're getting gruesome descriptions of balls. Um,
You are. Well,
that's
the
what,
reason,
so
and we talk
yeah,
about all of these like these surgeries, and not
yeah.
all of the surgeries that some of these people, yeah, right? Not all the surgeries and the ideas some of these people had were bad, right? Brinkley had a lot of
No.
bad ideas, but this
Yeah,
guy
yeah.
Sergey Voronov actually was the first person to develop the concept of transplanting cells that produced a hormone in which the recipient was deficient, which is genius because now that
It's
cell can
fucking
start
smart.
like, yeah, and one of them was like that really help with and help now was the production of insulin in patients with severe type 1
Oh,
diabetes. He was the guy that created the idea behind it, and he was putting
damn.
pig islets. I don't know what pig islets are, but I
I know.
imagine that they're the cells. I imagine it's the
Yeah.
pieces of cells that he's transplanting. And so he was the one that started that. But that wasn't his main interest when he did that. His
Well,
main
it's not
interest
how
was making
discoveries go.
money. Yeah, he was making money
Yeah.
chimpanzee balls into human balls. So that was his big thing.
I feel like this question shouldn't even be asked, so I'm gonna
No,
ask it.
ask it, please. Yeah.
Where the hell is this supply of various types of animal balls coming from? I'm just
The
because
animals.
at the same time, we have to realize there is a black and blue ball market for
Mm-hmm.
animal testicles that's
Mm-hmm.
being built up around all these practices. So, and they
100%.
weren't shipping them on ice. Like, were
So
there train cars that were just, the old refrigerated, ice cars at the time that were just worth $400 million, and it was just like filled with chimp balls? And like, no wonder we have so many extinction issues right now.
the
It's,
funny idea is that you think when the animals were getting their balls cut into that they were dead.
oh no, I picture them being alive. I don't think
They
humans
were
gave a fuck.
alive. They
Yeah,
were
no,
alive.
100%.
And the
Yeah.
reason they were alive was because their balls had to be still pumping. Their cells had to be working to be able to go into the next
Those
person, you know?
poor chimps. I
So
don't blame
they
anything that happened in Planet of the Apes anymore. No,
100%.
I'm on the
To
ape
go
side.
to go a little deeper into it, and I'm sorry because it affected me.
No, don't.
The whole ball thing didn't affect me, but that they were
Not
experimenting
me.
on the chimps while they were alive, and this was a part of the time which was really sad. They're experimenting on the chips,
Okay.
just cutting them until they're alive, and the doctor described how hard it was to to basically stop to like they were like the chimps have such a will to live, and I was just like, well, fucking obviously. It's like he was like, I tried to tie the chimps down or whatever animal pig that he was working on at the
It
time. And he was
just
like,
wouldn't let
to
me
tie it down.
bolt
And it
cut
just
its
wouldn't let
nuts
me
off.
cut into it and take out of its nuts. And I'm like, fucking, of course it wouldn't. Of course, this thing doesn't want to lose something, a part of its body. And he just seems so shocked at it. He seemed like a
It's almost
Nazi
like it has
doctor.
feelings. Yeah.
Yeah, he seemed like a Nazi doctor and was just cutting into him. Was like, "Oh my god, they had feelings," which
The
wasn't too
boys
far
at the,
away.
the medical university aren't gonna. The boys at Trump University are never gonna believe this.
Exactly. Animals have feelings.
I do
Well,
want to look up to see if or if this university that he got approved at was like
the
owned by Trump's
eclectic.
dad, who was also running a shit ton of scams at the time.
Hmm.
If you want to look into Trump's dad, um, Woody Guthrie uh wrote a great song about Trump's father. I think it's called Old Man Trump, if I
You know something
remember
funny?
correctly. But he, hmm.
Woody Guthrie is in this story.
Yes,
a,
yes.
a tiny, tiny part, but he's in the story.
Fuck yeah! Oh, don't tell me he got his nuts replaced.
No. He's
Okay, I
just a
would look
part
at
of
him
it.
differently if he did. No, Woody Guthrie is the shit.
Yeah.
But
Yeah. Well, after and through all of that, it was truly an age of experimentation. I mean, I guess you
truly.
could call it that. Well, let's also not look past that we're going into the jazz age, and people were looking for a really good time as well. So priming themselves and getting manhood back was not unheard of. And it was honestly like they were all trying to party, They're all trying to party. And if you couldn't, spring the jack, I'm just gonna make up 1,000 different ways to say get horny, by the way. So, and they're coming right off the dome. Ba-doom-ps. Now,
This episode is brought to you by Cialis.
well, now I'm not going to go into how much the book talked about priming your own pump
No,
and
please.
things to help you do it.
The
No,
listeners want it. No, the listeners want it.
but I can't because they fucking
Yes, you
went
can.
on
It's scarred
for,
in your memory.
It was
Yeah,
3
please.
hours of 3 chapters
Fantastic.
full
We're an
of
educational
how people were
podcast.
priming their pump. But I'm done with that. We're gonna
No. Teach us how to prime our pump, like our forefathers did, like our foreskin fathers did. Please teach us how to prime.
We're springing forward. Well,
are
in
we?
the mid, I'm gonna add one more person though. In the mid 1910s, right, a doctor
go in the
named
bonus
G.
chat.
Frank Lidston was actually taking balls from convicts who were about to be hanged in jail and implanting them in himself. He implanted
Respect this.
3 different pairs of testes, drink, on each side
At
of
the
his
same
body.
time?
Yeah.
Oh, wait, at the same time?
He put them he didn't put them in his balls, right? So he didn't cut open his balls.
No. He added extra
he put
sacks.
Them in, he put them in like his near his ribs. So
what?
Yeah, and so there
That's
is
so exposed.
It's so weird.
Like if you
there
bumped
is
into somebody in line or were in a tight train, oh my god.
Yeah, there is a story. So they're in the book. They talk about this story about G. Frank Lidston, and he went to a friend of his, and he was like, another scientist,
Look at these
and
balls.
he was like, "Why did you?" Yeah, and he was like, "Hey, feel my side," and he's like, "What are these like nodules in there?" And he's like, "They're testes." And he was like, "They're for male invigoration," and he said,
"The more balls, the better."
Yeah, that's what he was thinking.
Is this where the phrase "you got a lot of balls" came from? Because this is what I'm picking up right now. You got a lot of balls, kid. It's like, thank you, and they're just like attached to his face.
They're all over his face. Well,
wow.
He went up to his friend, and the guy was like, "Well, why didn't you try it on the convicts? Or why didn't you have?" Okay, so let me add this into it. He actually implanted the balls in himself. He did the surgery. This. Yeah, he did the surgery because he said
I respect this so much.
I do too. He said he wanted to be the person to do the surgery and to like pioneer it. He didn't want some other doctor to get the craze and the heyday over him. He was like, I had to do it myself.
That guy's got a lot of balls. Yeah.
Mm-hmm. And he went to the convicts who were about to die. Most of them didn't have, they're just like, oh, I'm going to be hung like tomorrow, And so he just went and, yeah.
You want to hang forever?
And took them and was like, okay, I'm going to put them on my body. But that just shows you what was going on at the time. So Brinkley was doing these things not as being the first of the time looking for male invigoration. He was just another connection. He was just another side of the part of the whole sack,
Yeah. I respect any doctor at any point in time in history who's like, I got some experimental shit and I'm going to do it to myself first. And I'm going to test it at any point in time. And that includes now, where it's just like, okay, I 100% respect. And and this goes to show the legitimacy is that at least he's trying other humans.
Yes.
Like,
yes.
At least he was this with no context medically. This at least tracks, like very quickly. It's like, wait a second. Mine are messing up. Maybe somebody else's aren't. You know,
Yeah.
let's give the old switcheroo or the addition new. Um,
Yep.
just fucking
He
just
he was
covered
trying.
in balls. He
He was
just
trying.
surgically teabagged every portion of his body.
And the way he told his friend was really funny. He was like, "Hey, feel my side." He was like, "Are those balls?" But
God damn, they're massive. Yeah, I know.
well, let's
Just
switch it back to Brinkley at this time because he's getting in some really cool stuff.
yeah.
Brinkley,
Okay.
in August of 1918, had so many patients, he was able to open up a 16 room clinic called the Brinkley Institute of Health in Milford, Kansas.
Brinkley Ball Institute.
It housed the Brinkley Jones Hospital, Brinkley Jones Associates, Brinkley Research Labs, and Brinkley Training School for Nurses.
Damn it. Oh man.
Yeah, it was a true one stop shop of medical practice, though it had more of an overgrown bed and breakfast feel than an actual sterile hospital feel. And it
You
probably
don't
felt
say.
more comfortable to the farmers of Kansas who went there. And I think that was purposefully done.
You could honestly come there for anything.
Hmm.
I love it.
Yeah, yeah.
Oh my god.
The hospital itself was a boon for Milford as it brought prosperity to the area as people moved there to work and live. It also brought a new life and vitality into Brinkley, as unlike his personality in the army, he worked diligently and he was also, unlike normal con men, was very generous to the town. It was pretty crazy. Like he just came to life, almost like he
Mm.
had a goat, implantation. He was so generous, so much so that during the Spanish flu outbreak of 1919, he went from farm to farm to help out all of the victims of the flu. And it was said that of all the thousands of people he treated, and this is actually a testimony from people that lived around there, he only lost one person.
It's wild.
Yeah.
Because he
And
came
if
in
we
with
can
that
look
Spanish fly treatment. That's what he did.
And if we can look at the overall death of the Spanish flu, this was nothing
Mm-hmm.
if not miraculous. The flu was
Yeah.
so deadly in the United States that it shortened the life expectancy of people by 12 years. It
God
took
damn.
over 550,000 lives just in the US, took
Damn.
over millions in the world. It was the second biggest plague of all time, just behind the Black Plague.
Mm.
I actually did find out there was it killed 487 out of every 100,000 people, 10,000. I think it was 100,000 people, which is a lot of people.
Damn.
Well, it seemed like Brinkley had put his charlatan ways behind him and become
Yeah.
an actual good doctor. But after the Spanish flu epidemic, he got back to his new, or should I say, goatly ways. The newspapers were starting to take notice of his new form of cure all for lameness. And by lameness, again, I mean ED. Ever the charlatan and
Close enough.
flimflam man, he named his newborn son with Minerva Billy.
No.
He
No,
named
you're
his
fucking
newborn
with it.
son
You're
Billy.
lying. You are
I am
lying.
not
I need
lying.
citations. Please put citations on the goddamn screen. This is
I can't put him on
no.
right now, but I will put him in
Oh my
he
god.
named,
No.
and the reason we also know this is because there is
No.
a picture in newspapers with his son, and the quotation is John Brinkley
No.
with son Billy Brinkley.
Oh my god.
He
Yo,
used his
I
son to promote the
fucking
surgery,
shit. I
like the goat he was.
I I I respect anybody who commits to the bit. And that's like a hard and fast rule. That's a hard and fast rule that I've got. And I respect this commitment to the bit at the end of the
Hmm.
day. Like it's man. I mean, Ronald True named his son Ronald F. True,
F
and
true.
I,
Yep.
and that's a commitment to the bit, but he was also insane. This guy is sane, doing insane things. And there's a difference. It's
Yeah.
just, oh my god.
And I want to say it wasn't just men, like I said earlier, that were coming into his
Yeah.
clinic either. Women were flocking in to meet him and have goat ovaries
Yeah.
implanted.
Oh my
He
jeez.
claimed, he claimed that the goat ovaries would enhance fertility,
Okay.
get rid of wrinkles, and of course,
Oh.
it was a bust enhancer.
Yeah.
Hmm.
We all know how buxomy those goats can be. Um,
Exactly.
I I've never looked at a goat and been like, "Damn, look at them ghost itty or those ghost itties. Look at them goat itties." Like I've never thought that in my life. Like goats, they love to well, let's just say them and rabbits have a lot in common. They'd love to do that.
They do.
I believe that. Because I used to get bullied by billy goats back in the day. That's a whole nother story. But
Yeah.
I've told you, Joey, about me getting the
Yes, you
shit
did
knocked
tell
out of me
me.
by
Yeah,
my neighbor's
yeah.
goats every fucking year. um, yeah,
Yeah,
goats
yeah.
are assholes.
Hmm.
Not a fan. But I've never looked at a female goat and just been like, God damn it. Like,
Yeah.
it's not a thing.
He
But I mean, hey,
no.
that Billy Buxom. All right, let's
Virility,
go.
virility. Well, now
Hmm.
he claimed, and I want to say
It's
this is
crazy.
this is smart. He claimed that the surgery worked 95% of the time, which is
Motherfuckers are always in the five.
yep. And he also claimed through the past tests
Sorry.
that other doctors had done that the goat testes would also cure big ones, mental handicaps and other disabilities. He was going on the like he went, okay, now no longer just virility, because other doctors overseas that not mention names, but like other doctors overseas had done tests and were trying to cure mental handicaps from people. There was one where a guy said he implanted goat testes in a boy, and it was really weird saying it like that, but implanted ghost testes in a boy who had very big mental handicap. And
Yeah.
apparently 3 days afterwards is I can say this in big quotations because this is the claim. 3 days afterwards, the boy like basically came back to uh his handicaps were gone, if I can say it in that way, and he was
Yeah.
without because they said he was drooling, and I don't know if this was just kind of like a stereotype for him, but I think it was just a claim that they said that it cured these just to get people anywhere and get more money coming in.
He became neuronormative.
Yes.
Yes.
Yes. Well, other doctors around this time claimed that it cured cancer, but
Okay.
Brinkley didn't go that far. He didn't really want to get into that
Whoa.
racket because yeah.
Whoa.
Yeah, he was just like I'm happy. I'm happy where I am, you know. Well, Brinkley was so popular that he hired a shuttle driver to pick up all his patients from the train station. His
There
shuttle
were
driver was
shuttles.
uh, yeah, he had
You're just gonna
shuttles.
you're just gonna you're just gonna glaze over that part of
Well, I'm
there
going to give
were
you the name of the driver.
shuttles.
Yeah, I'm going to give you the name of the driver.
I swear to God, if it's Luigi.
No, no, no. Well, his business was going so good, and like think about this small town, right? So small
Yeah.
town, there's probably not a lot of ways, and I don't think a lot of these people had cars at this time, because and you're going into town, you're not driving a car, you're taking a train to get
Yeah.
long distances.
100%.
The
Yeah.
first car was made in 1903, Henry Ford, that whole thing. And so cars,
Yeah.
this is 19, I think this is 1918, 1918. Cars are still not that popular, right? So
100%. Yeah.
Brinkley did own a car, though. He owned a 1914 Ford. That was
Okay.
one of the things I learned about him. But they had a shuttle driver so they could get people from the train station to his office like quickly as possible and then get them back out because a lot of these people were workers, they're farmers, they had to get back to their farm, so he's like,
I,
if I can get them in and out, I can also charge more because I got a shuttle driver, and it gives him ease of access. his
this
sh-
speaks so much to the volume that you have a literal fucking shuttle.
Mhm.
Like, and the early 1900s, you have a shuttle service. This is insane.
Mhm.
Like, even today, if a chiropractor had their own shuttle service, I would be suspicious.
Yep.
Right? Like, if I saw that where it's like, yeah, it's a shuttle service, we'll go around town, we'll pick up. Like, how many people are you servicing
I'm gonna tell
if
you.
you need a fucking shuttle service?
Yeah. Well,
Dear
think of
God,
it like this.
McDonald's doesn't have a shuttle
Yeah.
service. Like,
Think of it like this though.
this
His
is insane.
ingenuity cannot be
This is
like
genius.
questions. Yeah, it cannot be
No,
questions.
no, no,
And
no.
how quickly
Groundbreaking.
he was doing these things. And we'll find out in episode 2, episode 3, just how ingenious this guy was, whether he was a
This is
con
the
artist or not.
Uber of balls. This
Yeah.
is fascinating.
Hmm.
Wow.
Well,
This is like
his shuttle.
lift, but like lift up. You know what I'm saying?
Yeah,
Like, I'm
yeah,
here
yeah.
for
Yeah, we can go all day with these puns. I love them. These nice ones.
that
Well,
girth rebirth. You know what I'm saying? Like,
yeah,
I'm here for this.
yeah. Well, his shuttle driver was a rather big fellow named Happy Harry, and he'd tip his hat to you once you got off the train.
No,
Of course, that was his name.
no. Can we get shirts made that just say hello? My name is Happy Harry, and that's
Hmm. Yes, we can.
it. Oh my god! All right, we're gonna get that up on the merch store. We're gonna
Yep,
get
yep.
that up on the merch store ASAP.
Hit us up if you want one. Well, his business was going gangbusters, right? Because he was doing so much work. Once his patients were dropped off at the hospital, right, they were greeted by a small looking guy with rubber rimmed glasses and
Of course.
chin whiskers that resembled a goat. He this was
No.
Brinkley. This was Brinkley. He
No.
he went all in
No.
on it. Yeah, he did the chin
Dude,
whiskers. Yep.
I love this guy so much.
And you'll see
This
he
guy's a
he sticks with
genius.
stuff. Yeah.
This guy's a
And
genius.
this is what people would say, but and that's what he looked like at the time. But later on in life, he eventually grew the normal Dr. Van Dyke facial hair that pretty much everyone else at the time had. It
Yeah.
was a rite of passage to becoming a, in quotations, doctor.
Yeah. You
He
had
was
to.
also noted as being really good at twirling a six gun like a cowboy star, and patients said that he would actually do it during their visits with him. So he's just literally in there with a gun twirling it around while he's talking to
Pew
them,
pew
you
pew.
know?
Trying to shoot faster, I can help. Pew pew pew.
Yeah, yeah, yeah.
Like,
I'll help you
wow.
not shoot fast. But well,
All right.
and from and and from most of the people around town, he was genuinely liked, unlike most con artists. He did a lot
Believe it.
for Milford, right? He
Yeah.
paved the downtown road, he added a bank to the
Okay.
town, and he
Okay.
did so much more just for the town, so that was just overlooked.
He learned one of the quintessential. This is when you know a con person has graduated
Mhm.
when they learn this quintessential lesson, which is you don't burn your hometown. You burn
Yep.
everyone outside of the hometown. That creates an irresistible, like, that creates a fortress of
Yep.
support. Right? Like, the best way to do it if you're a con artist, just like we gave you advice earlier about how to commit crimes and, cross state
Hmm.
lines and boundaries, this is what you do as a con artist. You strengthen and you fortify your legitimacy in a desperate town.
Yep.
Bro, you're bulletproof. Because just like that small town cop, will chase your ass down, they'll also fucking protect you
Yep.
if you set shit up right. This guy's good. This guy's fuking
He was
good.
good.
I can see how the pieces are coming together to go where he's about to go. This is
Yeah.
tracking. This is tracking.
Right. Well, and that's not all he did because he was very ingenuitive, I guess is the word to say, and
Yeah.
he just thought about everything outside the box. So
Hmm.
one of the things that didn't work out, he bought a bear because he wanted to start a zoo. He just randomly one day was like, "Let's start a
I
zoo."
got all these nutless animals. I might as well do
Yeah.
something with them.
What was really sad though is at night the bear's bellowing kept him awake, so he just shot the bear and just gave up his dream of owning a zoo. He was like, "Nah, it's not for me." But I will say, at least he knew it was not for him before he got like 40 other animals and then had to, trank them all. Um, it was really sad. The poor bear.
Jesus fucking Christ.
Yeah.
Aw.
He even tried to name the church after himself. He said, in
I respect this.
quotations, this
Hmm.
is him. Christ did not build the Milford church, so it shall not bear Christ's name. It shall be called Brinkley Methodist Church.
I respect this. I
They did
respect
not
this.
do that. The town did not give him that.
Yeah.
They did, however, give him a plaque instead honoring God, Jesus, and John Brinkley. So he kind of won. He got a plaque honoring him, part of the
He
other
got
two.
up. He got up there in the Holy Trinity. I
I
respect
was
that.
gonna
All
say he's
right.
the holy trinity of yeah, of goats. Um for Christmas in
Okay.
1918. This is again like just showing how much he did kind of care for the town. He and Minnie got up on the top of their building, their physician's office, and were throwing off oven ready turkeys, geese, and ducks to their neighbors.
Damn. Okay.
Hmm. He was
How
also
many
pretty
people got
punny.
killed in this incident?
I don't think it was that many.
It's
I
like a
imagine there was
35-pound frozen turkey just landing on somebody from 3 stories to
I
knock
imagine
over.
there were smaller turkeys at the time. They weren't 35 pounds. They were probably the small ones that are, normal range without antibiotics and a bunch of steroids.
I'm surprised they didn't throw goat. Like I'm just like, do they had like a Euro shops
It's where the
like
money was, buddy.
amount. No, but I'm just saying they had a Euro shops amount of like
Oh, yeah.
lamb and goat like at the fucking ready. Do you know how many goats probably died from those procedures? Right? Um,
90% of them probably.
it could have been eating goat, honestly.
He could
I
have been.
love goat.
Maybe that's why he saved so
That's
much money.
fucking my mouth's watering. Yeah.
Hmm. Well, he
Mm,
was also
goat.
pretty punny. And when he went in, he
Respect
went
this.
all in. For
He
example,
went hard.
yeah. The room the patients would change in was called the herd room.
Yes.
Like genius. Now, he
Uh,
wasn't just a good natured man in all of this, as well as he was making a ton of money. So he could easily
mm,
afford to give some of it out. And I really honestly respect that. He didn't just, like you said, he didn't just take as a con artist did. He built, and he built this town.
yes.
He
Yes.
literally built this town. Everybody, almost everybody that wasn't a normal farmer was working for him, whether it was in shuttle driving, whether it was in the stuff surrounding the bank that he helped build, the
Yeah.
all the parishioning stuff that he was doing. He was bringing in all this stuff. People were coming to stay there. And so Milford, Kansas was built, and I don't have any qualms about saying this. Milford, Kansas was built by John Brinkley. And whether or
Damn.
not you think of what he was doing as a good thing, which it really wasn't. The stuff that he was doing, and a lot of CEOs can fucking learn from this. What he was doing was building and giving away money that he did not need.
I respect this.
Hmm.
But like this goes to the true and honest scam artist, right?
Yep.
If you are a legit like the university, the PhD level graduate of scamming knows you do not burn those around you. You take care of your neighborhood and you become a philanthropist, right?
Yep.
Like Al Capone. Al Capone knew this perfectly. This is why he's still a fucking legend, is because he
Hmm.
took care of the neighborhood the community, and the city around him. And he
Mhm.
set up multiple bulletproof vests to protect him. It took so long and it was so much effort to even try to get to him. They had to come to him through very obscure means at the time to even figure out a way to get to his ass. Like, you really got to take care of those folks around you. So, as you build your scam empire, which we hope all of our BCR listeners do someday, because
Mhm.
we wish the best and most nefarious success to you. Take
Correct.
care of
We
your
do.
community. Number
Mhm.
one. And if you're legitimate, go fuck off. But for everyone else,
Yeah.
always.
What's funny is that in the future, he does actually get a bulletproof vest, as he says, just like Al Capone. No joke. No fucking joke. So all this stuff you're just bringing into it is just he's just taking in. So it
I'm
all
picking it up.
surrounds it. Yep.
I'm
Well,
gonna call it a quick break. Is that okay?
sure. Yeah, yeah.
I'm gonna
Break.
mark here. Calling a quick break. We will be back in about 4 minutes, 5 minutes.
Yeah,
Is that
sure.
okay, Joy?
Yep. Yep.
All right. All right.
Yeah, yeah. That sounds good.
Throw on our video. right. Sorry for the short break there, but the cats were running through the house. Specifically, Dado was running through the house with like his ears down and just like running really low
Mm.
just between rooms. So I
Oh.
had to. I'm a responsible cat dad, you know. Like, here, I
Hmm.
got to check on the cats. Like, what the fuck is going on? That they don't usually act like that, but I don't know. Maybe there were gunshots or something. Anyways, back to the balls.
Yeah. Well, Gil, you asked earlier because of
I
the
did.
shuttle how many operations a month, operations that he was doing, right? So
Yes.
think of a normal surgeon, right? I would say maybe a
Mhm.
normal surgeon probably does maybe one surgery, three surgeries a week, right? Maybe that's on the high end, probably.
I imagine more than that,
It
honestly.
depends. Well,
Surgeons write into us at contact@blackcat.report. How many surgeries do you do a week, and how many times does it involve goat balls?
hmm hopefully none. Well, from 1918 to 1921, as a surgeon, he was averaging 50 operations a month.
Oh,
Yep, it's the shuttle coming in, right? So he- it was $750 a piece, which
damn.
was about $500,000 a year in 1920s currency, right?
Whoa.
To put that in perspective, each surgery in today's money would cost $10,600. And we can say to ourselves, it's actually probably not that much money. But for a surgery, right? If we talk about healthcare in this country right now, but
Yeah. Yeah.
he was
Yeah.
making $28 million a year in goat testicle surgery in today's money. That's the comparison.
Damn.
Yeah.
Goddamn.
Yes. Well,
I love it.
in the summer of 1921, he started
Mhm.
touring the United States, going through New York, Philadelphia, most of the major cities on the East Coast, exclaiming about other experimental surgeries he claimed he was doing. Again, Flim Flam Man claiming, yeah, all that kind of stuff, right?
Gotta keep the road
So,
show going.
gotta keep it going. He's a snake oil salesman. He grew up in that. He has to go
At
on the road. He has to
heart.
keep his name.
Yeah.
And at this time there wasn't like a you there was no you couldn't go on TV and just be like,
No.
come visit me. There was no
You
TV.
couldn't
So
promote your scam wow, you know.
you yes, yeah. Well, he claimed that he had transplanted eyes from one species of animal to another. This
Whoa.
quote shows you just where Brinkley's mind was. At this moment, I cannot cure the blind, but 6 months from now, I will be able to.
Damn.
This dude was he was he
Damn.
was feeling himself, right? That's what I'd like to say. He was in
I'm
his
gonna
era.
I'm gonna throw this out there. Um,
Hmm.
if I could get an eye, just one eye, right? I'm not gonna get both. If I get one eye replaced with any animal eye and it would work, mantis shrimp. 100%.
A mantis
Without
shrimp?
without a doubt. Mantis shrimp can see the broadest light spectrum out of any
Ooh.
animal species. They can see like infrared, ultra red, um, communist red. They can see all the reds. But they can see like every fucking thing. Like they have this like if you look at the part of the spectrum a human can see, and then you
Yeah,
look at
it's
the
not much. Yeah.
whole spectrum a man it's like, I don't know, 5, 6, 7, 10 times as much as everything. Mantis shrimp are fucking wild. But yeah, I would totally
Can
get a
I
mantis shrimp eye.
can
Yeah.
I ask you though how
Yeah,
horrifying
please.
that would be? Because if you
If I
had
was just
one
like this
eye
all the time,
seeing
it's
all
really
of yeah,
tiny.
you see one eye seeing all of that crazy stuff, and then your other eyes just seeing like you normally see, and if you keep them both open, would that like not unlock some? crazy
Well,
vision, I
there's an
guess.
anime. There's an anime. I never. I don't think I ever saw the title of it in English. Anyways, I just got done finishing this anime where there's a scene. There's an episode where the main character, he runs into this like basically this really ridiculous like demon lord who's like this
Hmm.
bratty little girl, and nobody thinks that she's an actual demon lord because she's like piss poor broke and just like eccentric as fuck, and she's like,
Hmm.
oh, thank you so much for feeding me, and she like grabs his face and rips out his eye and shoves another eyeball into it. But what she
Interesting.
did was she gave him, she has like 12, I think it was like 12 different kinds of eyes who give her different powers. She could just
Hmm.
flip through different eyes for different scenarios. And the
Makes
one
sense.
demon eye that the protagonist got allowed him to see about like 3 or 4 or 5 seconds like into the future constantly.
Interesting. Interesting.
And so he
Horrifying, but
like he
interesting.
start well, for like a combat world, pretty fucking
That
useful,
yeah, that's
you know,
very very
where
useful
it's
for
like
sure. Combat.
somebody comes up and then they like come in on the left, but then they fake to the right and then they swipe down on you. And he was able to see it like a half a second ahead of time and like respond to it and shit. It
Yeah,
it
yeah.
got really dope. So I think
That's smart.
that's where my current eye situation's at with my
Yeah.
inspiration, my inspiration, if you won't. Um, that's
Hmm.
about where I'm at with things. So
That
fucking
makes
can't remember the
sense.
name of that anime.
Um,
It was really good though. Anyways,
Tell us
also
in email.
really
You
quick,
know.
really quick, if anybody else is completely pissed about the season finale of Solo Leveling, look, I need people to commiserate with. I
Hmm.
seriously need people. I need human beings in my life to commiserate with. Solo Leveling is one of the highest rated animes of all time. This series that's just coming out, that the
Hmm.
season finale just happened.
Hmm.
I'm so pissed. I'm so pissed right now, and we need a support group. So please reach out to us. I need your help.
Yeah. Well, Gil, it looks like you will be
Yeah.
commiserating solo. Um, for that
So,
quote, he actually only mentioned that at a New York event once, and then he never mentioned it again. Basically saying like I can
mm,
cure everything within 6 months. I can cure eye
mm,
blindness within 6 months. And again, like the charlatan he was in most ways, there was no
yeah.
actual evidence of any surgery that had that experiment with. So he had no evidence to back that up. And just like a, snake oil salesman, he was trying to throw this out to get people to come to him. Here's a little thing. Here's a little thing. You all come eventually, but I'll still sell you on the goat
Ah,
testicle surgery. Well, let's fast forward a little bit to February of 1922. Just a little bit. His business was booming and he was rich. As we
mm,
say, about $500,000 a year, 28 million in this time period now. So in came the invitations to build hospitals in different and much grander locations. Los
okay.
Angeles was calling. A
Obviously.
newspaper editor had called up Brinkley and asked him to come to LA and implant goat testes into one of his coworkers. I wonder if you guys are drunk by now about how many times I've said balls, testes, testicles, anything like that. I hope so. You can always keep playing it anyways. Well, the editor of the newspaper said that if it worked, he would make Brinkley the most famous doctor in the world. Well,
Damn.
Brinkley, telling himself he was already pretty well known doctor at the time,
Yeah.
but who could withstand the calling of Los Angeles? So he obliged, and he made his way out to LA to claim his fame. On March 23rd of 1922, he operated on the editor and then claimed success. The editor, in his words, was more virulent and vibrant than ever. So word started spreading around Tinseltown, and before he knew it, he was operating on powerful judges and Hollywood screen stars.
Hell yeah.
He had made it.
Hell yeah.
Hmm.
Man.
And in just a short time, he had already cleared $400,000 because that's what it was about.
Jesus Christ.
Mm,
So many
the,
gold balls.
the LA papers claimed him the next big doctor, second only to Dr. Phil.
That makes sense. That
That
tracks.
makes sense. Yeah, yeah. His
Yeah.
star had risen, and LA wanted to keep him around. The
Mm.
Los Angeles Chamber of Commerce offered to build Brinkley a $100,000 hospital, which is a lot of money at the time to build a
Whoa.
hospital. Yeah, yeah.
Whoa.
hmm So Brinkley, obviously, took his time to find a location. He then
Mm.
decided on the Hidalgo Hotel in Ensenada because it would suit his needs. He wanted to create a 36-room hospital for all kinds of experimental procedures. The place was perfect because of location. And to give
Mhm.
it an air of, shall I say, expert knowledge, he said
Mhm.
he chose that specific location because the climate was perfect for goat implantation. It had a steady
Important.
temperature of around 70 degrees, which was most suitable for ball surgery.
Jesus Christ.
Yeah. Well,
According
all
to my
was
studies.
according to my studies, which, he'd done a shit ton of surgeries, so
You know?
all was going well for Brinkley. At the time, he had it all: fame. He had a wife who loved him and helped him, and she actually helped him in all his work. She worked in the surgeries too. She got a diploma as well, like I said earlier, from the diploma mill, the Eclectic University.
From Trump University. Yeah. Yeah.
hmm She also ran it while he was gone too, so they had to keep it, keep the family going. He had a
Mm.
town that loved him because he took care of the town, which is super important, like you
Yes.
said.
So
Yep.
important.
He was even branching off into other places like LA, getting ready to build a hospital in Tinseltown and become not just famous, but infamous. But
Mm.
things were about to get rocky for the goat ballsack doctor of Milford, Kansas. And that's where we'll pick up next week for John Brinkley, Part 2. We want to thank you guys for listening to this episode on John Brinkley, the goat ball doctor, ball goat doctor. I don't know. We can say anyway.
That's about right.
Yeah.
About right.
And especially thank you to our Patreon members for following us. And if you haven't noticed, we are releasing episodes as video episodes now, and we hope you're enjoying them. Please let us know if you would like us to add anything else, or if you anything different. We're adding pictures, and we're adding like a lot of these things to help you get more of a picture of the episodes. Pretty much where we're adding everything we can because we like to. It's basically us interacting with you during the episode and while we're editing. And I know I've been having fun editing pictures and stuff into it. So again, let us know if you like it, and if you want more, let us know.
Yeah. And as an added bonus, and I'm gonna say 98% of the reason why is you get to see Data in Salem. In this case, right now, you get to see Data hopping up on my lap, being a little baby do with jewels for eyes, purring and laying on my lap and enjoying the episodes too. So you get more cats, you get more black cats. But yeah, we hope that y'all are liking this transition. And one key thing that we are doing, which we just started last week, was Fridays at 8 o'clock, as it stands right now. We are releasing the premiere of the finished episodes on YouTube. And the point of us doing that is Joey and I, either one of us or both of us, will be in the chat during the premiere to answer your questions, to laugh with you, to joke with you, and to admit to all the embarrassing parts of the show. So if you listen to this and you have any questions, if you have any thoughts, if you have any funny jokes that we missed, hit us up on Fridays, 8 o'clock Eastern time on the old YouTubes. So yeah.
Yeah,
Do we have any
we want
shout
to
outs
thank.
or anything?
Yeah, I'm gonna go ahead and do it.
Oh,
We
hell
want to
yeah.
thank our Patreons, listeners, and subscribers for following us. And if you join up, you will get your shout out at the end of the episode, or maybe even like the Ronald True episode, just be a little part of the story. And you get to contact with us pretty much 24/7 with questions, topic suggestions, or just general chit chat. We run a really cool chat room. Let's get to them shout outs.
Let's get to them.
We want to thank Peak of the Mountain Productions, Tim, Max, Ian, Morgan, Dragonfall, Miller's Monsters, Marissa, Leader of the Chicken Cult, Rachel, Ev, Jaden, Jackie, Lucas, Yellowbay, Dwayne, Alyssa, Bree, Michael, Paranorm Girl Podcast, James, and always last, but never least,
Copy Kitty. The one and only.
We want to thank you all for listening, and we will see you next week.
Bye, y'all.
Bye.
We love you. Bye.
Bye.
Yeah. Hell yeah. Pew, pew, pew.